What's up, Silver Stackers? Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer, and I put together a crazy video for you guys and gals today, folks. We're going to be looking at JPMorgan and this trial that is about to go underway where their employees, or some of them, are actually getting sent to prison. Now, why, you may ask? Well, these bankers buy large amounts of silver on the COMEX and cancel the order before it goes through. See, here's the tricky part. You're allowed to cancel orders, but they never had the intent for that order to go through. That's called spoofing, and it's highly illegal. It wasn't until around 2020 when judges started to crack down. Previously, it was like a $35 million fine. Now, and this is a different case, JPMorgan actually last year had to pay $900 million, almost $1 billion in fines, but now a separate case, and by the way, they have cases backdating decades ago. Merrill Lynch and the Dutch Bank also have gotten caught doing this. Silver price is heavily manipulated, and this just shows time and time again. They've talked about they've gotten caught thousands of times doing this. Thousands of different instances. Another employee actually is also getting sent to prison for racketeering on a separate case. But regardless, this just shows how corrupt these markets really are, and how fake the prices really are, and how suppressed the prices really are. Now, the interesting thing about this this trial is that, and it even says it right up here. Where's it at? I think it's at the bottom, actually. Yeah, it's right here. So sentencing will be fascinating in the current political environment. I mean, this is actually going to gain some public attention, and not even just from the silver market, but in the investing world. And I think it's really going to expose, this stuff is serious, and not only is it highly illegal, it's just unfair. Now, we all know that it's going to last forever. No, it's never, anywhere there's money involved, there's always going to be corrupt, shady business happening behind the scenes. But this is my take. Pre-2020, $35 million fine from a bank like JPMorgan's a slap on the wrist. But $900 million, that's something. But you know what's even more something? Getting sent to prison. Right? If you're a banker at JPMorgan and you're behind the screen just doing what you do, whatever, right? But if you know that you actually might get sent to prison where your actual life is affected, that might make you think twice. So anyways, let's jump into this article. The link will be in the description. I've covered many of these spoofing articles in the trials. This one I think is going to be the biggest in the public eye, and that's why it really does take interest in me and why I wanted to share it. But yeah, before I am doing a silver giveaway right now. If you want some silver shipped straight to your front doorstep, just click subscribe, go enter the giveaway. I'll be picking the winner relatively soon. I still want to get some time to let people enter. But yeah, let's jump into this article. So silver sits as traders face trials and appeals. Looks like they're going to appeal as well. So before the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act of 2010, spoofing in precious metals was unethical but not a crime. And let me explain exactly what spoofing is. So it's not only buy orders. It's when a bank or a person, even whales can do this, not just banks. I mean, they do this with millions and millions of dollars, getting caught thousands and thousands of times. They have on record in some of these cases. But regardless, it's when a bank places a false buy or sell order. You can do it with a sell order as well. And they cancel it before it goes through. But what that does is it tricks, or it's a fake volume on that exchange. So the other traders on that exchange look at the volume, which is actually false because it's never going to go through. And then they start trading off of that false information that's manipulating the market to whatever JPMorgan is trying to do. Whether it's a buy or sell order, then they cash out from it, making a lot of money. Now, you'll see this with the pricing sometimes, like over the weekend or something, or when you go into the weekend, you'll see the price do something really odd, and then all of a sudden it corrects, and that's usually from this short selling or spoofing. Now, it goes a lot deeper than that. Manipulation of the silver price goes a lot deeper than that as well. I just covered an article from Ted Butler covering this, but regardless, this is highly illegal. And I think it really just goes to show not only how shady JPMorgan is, but how shady most banks are. So let's keep moving on. So the Dodd-Frank changed that. The FBI and the U.S. Justice Department embarked on an investigation that led to the arrest of precious metals traders from the U.S. and the world's leading financial institutions. Silver has been a speculative precious metal throughout history because of its penchant for price volatility. While silver's price can sit dormant for months and years, the price variance can be dramatic when it decides to move. And and they're saying it's much more volatile than gold, and that's why you can make more money, because there's bigger gaps, hits higher highs and lower lows. If gold's going to rise 10%, silver's going to rise 15, 20%. If gold's going to drop 10%, silver's going to drop 15, 20%. So there's more risk, but there's also more reward, since silver's a much smaller market, and that's why banks choose silver over gold. Since the Hunt brothers attempted to corner the silver market in the late 1970s and 1980s, silver has been in the regulators' crosshairs. More than a few precious metals devotees contend that the world's leading banks and dealers manipulate silver's price for profit. And this isn't a theory or a conspiracy. This is a fact, right? This is a fact. Now, I last wrote about silver on Barchart on May 17th. And that's when the July COMEX futures price was $21.73 an ounce. While it was marginally higher at the end of last week, silver is sitting in its dormant stage at just under the $22 level. After failing at $27.45 in early March, that's when gold reached its all-time high, breaking above $2,000. July silver fell 25.6% to a low of $20.42. So regardless, we don't really care about the price too much. I just made an entire video covering all that. So new spoofing trial gets underway soon. Here we go. This is the meat and potatoes. For years, market participants have accused the leading financial institutions of manipulating the silver and other precious metals markets. Many fingers pointed at the leading U.S. institution, JPMorgan and Chase. JPMorgan is by far the shadiest bank. Not only did they also get caught spoofing time after time after time, they also got caught with millions of dollars in misprinted gold bars, probably going to be sold on the black market or whatever. And they also, Jamie Dimon, which is, the owner of JPMorgan, I mean, he's the face of it, also called Bitcoin a scam back in like 2017, publicly on Twitter and everything. People freaked out, and Bitcoin's price dropped thousands of dollars that day. And then JPMorgan got caught buying millions and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin right after he said that. And you know how they got caught? Because the blockchain stores every transaction publicly. Everything you do with crypto, it's public information freely. Anyone and everyone can see it. That's kind of why I do like crypto for that sense, where banks can't get away with shady stuff like this. But regardless, that was another instance where JPMorgan was using just false information and just doing stuff to influence other people so they can profit off of it, just like spoofing. So anyways, the U.S. government indicted 4 former JPMorgan Chase precious metals traders on spoofing, market manipulation, fraud, and conspiracy charges. Actually, another one got caught for racketeering as well. Honorable Edward E. Chang, U.S. District Court Judge in the Northern District of Illinois, will preside at the trial of Messrs. Now, I don't really want to go over other people's names. It's kind of whatever. The judge granted Messer Jordan's request for a separate trial. The prosecution will likely attract lots of attention as the traders worked at JPMorgan Chase. While traders will face a jury, the bank paid a record fine, has moved past the government charges. And this might be the case where they paid the fine of $900 million. They've gotten caught doing this so many. I've probably made 6 or 7 different videos of different instances with JPMorgan getting caught. Now, this is the one it's looking like that that they're actually going to send these people to prison. Well, actually, no, because the other one I covered, 3 of their employees got sent to prison, and the the 4th one, got caught for racketeering. So this, I think, is a different situation. I can't really tell, though. It's happened so many times over the years that I've been covering it. I've been covering it probably for the last 4 years now, because I remember in 2020 when they finally started cracking down, I was like, finally, it's about time. So it's probably been 2018, 2019 that I've been covering this. But anyways, 2 convicted spoofers are objecting and appealing. Of course they are, right? The trial comes after a federal jury convicted the former Wall Street traders Edward Basis and John Pacilio on similar charges on August 4th, 2021, after a trial under the Honorable John Z. Lee, also in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. The jury found Messer guilty of counts on 1 through 10, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud affecting a financial institution and wire fraud affecting a financial institution. The jury found Messer Pacilio was guilty on the same charges, but also handed down a guilty verdict on a commodity fraud charge. They both have not been sentenced and remain free on bail while they pursue appeals, requests for a new trial, and legal moves to vacate their convictions. The latest hearing occurred on May 19th as the convicted traders continue to seek paths that will keep them out of jail. Of course they are. So sentencing will be fascinating in the current political environment, right? So with the first anniversary of the guilt verdict on the horizon, Judge Lee is likely to accelerate the process under pressure from the Justice Department, which is seeking substantial sentences for these convictions. And that's proof. They're trying to show these other banks and bankers, like, look, you guys got to chill, because if you don't, this is what's going to happen. Meanwhile, the Justice Department lawyers will likely use similar legal strategies in the trial against Messrs. Nowak, Smith, and Rufo next month. Time will tell if the guilty verdicts against Messer, Basis, and Pacilio will lead to the same against JPMorgan traders. I mean, you see how many different people that have been involved and gotten caught with this. I mean, it's so messy, and that's just this situation. Remember, I've also covered several different situations where Merrill Lynch and a couple different, I think one or two with the Dutch bank as well. I mean, this goes deep, and if you think those are just the people that got caught that are in trial, imagine all the people that haven't gotten caught and that have been doing it for just as long, probably with just as much money, still getting away with it. Now, if that sounds scary, if you say, well, silver prices are rigged, what's the point? In the article I covered with Ted Butler, he also does explain, and I've explained this myself, that price manipulation can't exist for too much longer when you look at other factors that will be affecting the price of silver, right? Everything affects the price of silver to a different extent or a different, percentage, whether it's stock market volatility, whether it's a dollar index, what gold does, even speculation. But supply and demand, the supply deficits, the crazy astronomical amount of demand we're going to need for silver over the next decade, that will definitely overpower what spoofing does. Plus, especially since spoofing is usually in very short stints, where supply and demand fundamentals it will be a much longer stint. So when it comes to sentencing, the judges face guidelines and convicted felons with no previous offenses. While probation reports will likely recommend some leniency, the Justice Department will demand significant incarceration because of the convictions on conspiracy and fraud affecting a financial institution, crimes that come with a substantial sentence. So they're actually going to jail, and it says for a long time, a significant incarceration. And usually, if you're they're not going to send you to jail for 4 years, right? You go to prison. Jail's only for like 1, 2, 3 years. If they're getting sentenced to, for and the word was significant incarceration, they're going to prison. So in the current political environment, where many judges and politicians favor little, if any, jail time for even violent crimes, it will be interesting to see these sentences for Messer, Basis, and Pacilio if unsuccessfully in their attempts to avoid sentencing in jail. There may be a little appetite for sympathy for Wall Street traders guilty of these crimes, and Justice Department is pushing to send a message to traders and these institutions. And that's what I was talking about, right? They're trying to push this narrative of, you guys might be doing this now, and we know, but if you do, you're going to get caught, you're going to get a huge sentence and a massive up to $1 billion fine. Assistant Attorney General Kenneth Polite Jr. said the verdict shows that the Department of Justice is committed to holding accountable those who line their pockets by manipulating our financial markets through fraud. And that's a great line. And I'm just so happy because I remember the exact article. I wish I could go find that video in 2020 when they came out and said they're going to start cracking down. Because I always used to talk about how they're just giving these banks a slap on the wrist. They're going to keep doing it because that's nothing to a bank. And I remember that article coming out, and I said, I'm so curious if they're going to stick to their word, and they have been. So conspiracy to commit wire fraud affecting a financial institution carries a maximum sentence 25 years in prison. Yeah, we're talking about prison, not jail. Big difference. Silver can go either way at $22. Hang on for an eventual wild ride. Silver was one of those precious metals at the heart of the cases against the convicted traders and those about to face a jury in July 2022. Of course, it's silver at the heart because silver is a much smaller market than gold. It's much easier to manipulate the price. Silver faces bullish and bearish forces as it sits near the bottom end of its recent trading range at the $22 level. Rising interest rates and a strong dollar have pushed the price lower, but inflationary pressures and the war in Ukraine are not bearish for the precious metal. Meanwhile, the silver market will be keeping an eye on the trial of this JPMorgan case and what influential factors in the market for years, or who were the influential factors. That's a really strong sentence right there, right? Silver market traders will be keeping an eye on the trial to see who were the influential factors in the market for years. Who's been doing this? Because the price definitely shouldn't be worth just $22, but it does go a lot deeper than spoofing, in my opinion. Like Ted Butler said, it's much more sinister. The bank is trying not to pay inflation or interest rates on its own $30 trillion in debt, which is keeping the price purposely down, suppressing it. Eventually, silver will break out on the upside or downside, but the metal remains in a dormant stage with the price action not attracting any significant speculative interest as it is range-bound. Longer the consolidation takes, the more significant the move will be when volatility returns. See, wow, that's a good point as well. But anyways, man, what a great article and what an interesting situation we're in. I do see this situation, I guess, affecting, I guess would have the biggest I guess ripple effect through the banks since this trial is becoming so public. I think this is going to reach more people and maybe, shake them up a little bit and maybe second guess spoofing. I always think it's going to go on, but I do think that since they are cracking down to such a more serious degree, it might stop it a little bit, or it might just cut it down a little bit. But regardless, anytime there's money involved, there's going to be shady, corrupt people and banks behind it, right? Especially banks like JPMorgan. I'm sure every bank, or most of them to some extent, do this type of stuff, but JPMorgan is definitely the top of the line. So yeah, what do you think about this? Do you think these guys are going to get sent to prison? Like it said, these guys do have a lot of money, or talking about bankers, so you might be able to pay their way out, but I don't, just like that one line said, we're talking about serious, we're talking about, where was it at? Yeah, see right here. They might recommend some leniency, but the Justice Department will demand significant incarceration because of the convictions on conspiracy and fraud affecting a financial institution, crimes that come with substantial sentences. So it looks like they might have mandatory prison sentences, and that might shake up some bankers. I mean, it would for me at least. Jeez. So yeah. And especially because, those are bankers. They're not criminals in the terms of, committing robbery or drugs or whatever. Like, these people are going to be put in the dog pen, and they're just some people that sit at a desk all day. Like, geez. But anyways, yeah. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you want a chance to win some silver, make sure you go enter my giveaway. If you also want a pretty cool deal, if you go to bullionmax.com/silverslayer, it's going to take you to this landing page where you get 5 ounces of silver at below employee pricing. It gives you a Type 2 Eagle, new Kangaroo, the 2022 Britannias. I mean, we're talking about coins that have 71% premiums, right? Type 2 Eagles, 71% premiums on these coins. And you get this at a great deal. It's only one per household. You can only order this once and for obvious reasons. So yeah, take advantage of that. BullionMax.com/SilverSlayer. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys that as well. What do you think about this stuff though, folks? Let me know. Thanks for tuning in. This is SilverSlayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.